Favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Jim Ellis joins us right now. He has been broadcasting Mississippi State sports since 1979. He does have a little more time to probably do some other things now that he is just the voice of the Mississippi State Diamond Dogs. But picking up some basketball stuff in this busy time of year. Jim, always a pleasure to visit. It's been a while. How are you?
I am good. Thank you.
It's about 5 plays away, really. This week, so much focus on the Egg Bowl and this matchup between Mississippi State and Ole Miss, and it always takes us down memory lane. So let's just start there. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, give me an Egg Bowl memory that really stands out, what pops to mind first for you?
Well, I guess probably my first Egg Bowl that I ever went to. I was a young kid. I think I was about 7 years old. And my dad took me to a game. I didn't know one team from the other. And I remember being in the stands waiting for the teams to come out. And Ole Miss came out, and I got up and was applauding, and my dad pulled me down. He said, "No, that's Ole Miss coming out." So then Mississippi State comes out, and so I get up and do it again. And I don't remember much about the ball game. Ole Miss won the ball game. I remember right, something like 26-7 or something of that nature. But the only thing I really remember, they had a fullback by the name of Paige Cothran. Ole Miss did. And his socks, everybody else had their socks pulled up. His socks were all crumpled down around his ankles the entire ball game. And that intrigued me as a 7-year-old trying to watch a ball game that I didn't know a whole lot about. And that's my only memory from that first ball game. But that was my first experience with Mississippi State Ole Miss. I did go to some games. I remember a game. I think it was in '58. It was a 7-7 tie, if I remember. And I remember that game very well because a guy named Bubba Trammell was a running back. He scored the lone Mississippi State touchdown in that ball game. And his wife taught school at the elementary school I was going to that year. So, so those are some of my earliest memories of Mississippi State football and their rivalry with Ole Miss.
I'm curious, Jim, how it changed for you when you went from sitting alongside Jack Crystal as he was doing the play-by-play to following him in play-by-play, where it was now your responsibility to describe and chronicle the action. Did it change the way you watched the game or consumed the game at all?
Yeah, it really did. I mean, as far as the way I watched the game, because there's so much more. When I sat beside him, I spotted Mississippi State and did the and then eventually we got a spotter for years. I spotted the game and also was the color guy on the ball game, and which means that you had to watch a lot that it was away from the football when you do some of those things. But working with Jack was such a pleasure just to learn from him. He was his own person. He did the game the way he wanted to do it, and he did it in a style that people really loved. I told Jack late in his career, I said, Jack, you lived in the era where people loved to listen to football games, and they loved what you did, and you described the game. I still think he described football games more accurately than anybody that I've ever listened to. But when I started doing it myself, I realized I couldn't be Jack Crystal. Nobody else could. And so I just tried to. I've been doing high school. I did Starkville High games for almost 28 years. So I did a lot of high school football for years and years and years. And I had an own style of trying to do the broadcast and just tried to be myself. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought I was very fortunate because I broadcast the games through those Dak Prescott years, which were tremendous years. There were a lot of really good ball games. We went to some Super Bowl games during that time. I thought I was very fortunate to be able to broadcast during that era.
You may have shared this before somewhere along the way, but you worked with Jack Crystal for a long time, and I feel like for a lot of people, Jack Crystal, they feel like they know him, and at the same time, he's this kind of larger-than-life character almost. What was your relationship? Was it friendship? Was it like big brother, little brother, uncle, nephew, just colleagues? How do you describe the relationship that the two of you had, and maybe how it evolved through the years?
Well, I was a little bit awed with Jack at first because I didn't really didn't know him that well when I started, but I began to understand him much more as it went along. But he was good from the start. He found a place for me. He made me feel welcome. In fact, we roomed together on the road for, I guess, maybe 15, 20 years, and they start giving everybody their own room. But I mean, I roomed with Jack for years and years. So we did a lot of non-sports talking over the years. He was a historian. He loved history. He had fought in World War II or had been in the service back then, and he has those memories. Jack, of course, was Jewish, and he had a strong faith in Judaism, and we talked about those kind of things. Well, we talked family, we talked all kind of things. We had our favorite places to eat in each city that we would go to, and we'd try to find that. We had a relationship with other broadcasters. One of the things that was really special, Jack knew all the other broadcasters, and he would bring me into the conversations, and I got to know most of the greats in that era of football, and we had a bucket full of them in the Southeastern Conference, and that was a lot of fun. But Jack was he gave me advice from time to time, and it was good advice, and we didn't agree on everything, but we had some great arguments, and but he was one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. And of course, I had heard all of his stories after about 10 years, and so I didn't need them. But he had great stories. He could embellish your story and just have you sitting there eating out of the palm of his hand. A great storyteller, and just a genuine person. And I always cherished the fact that I felt like that he considered me a friend. I certainly considered him a friend, and we got along well. And we did throughout the history of our career.
Jim, be it a game that you called as a color commentator or as the play-by-play announcer for Mississippi State, and not necessarily the full game, but is there a moment in the Egg Bowl that stands out to you from all the games that you called?
I think there's a bunch, but if I wanted to pull a couple, I think that one that I would pull was the ball game that we were trailing Ole Miss. I think it may have been I can't remember the year right now, but I think we were trailing Ole Miss in 1990. It must have been the 98 or 99 season, right in there, and it looked like we'd gotten a couple of big plays. Gotten back into the ball game when it looked like it was about over, had tied it up. Ole Miss had the football, trying to throw the pass down the field. Ball got really batted up in the air. I think actually kicked up in the air on the defensive play on the sideline, return it deep enough, and then kick the field goal to end the ball game and come away with a victory. I think it was maybe 24-21 ball game, but it was an unbelievable ball game. And the ending was Ole Miss had pretty well dominated the game, and then Mississippi State owned the fourth quarter and won the game. That game always will stick out in my mind. Another game that to me was a really interesting game, well, I think 2013, when Dak Prescott came back from injury and got the ball club down the field, got a ball game tied up. We go into overtime, gets the win in. Or gets the lead in overtime at 17-10, and then Ole Miss gets stripped of the football. It bounces into the end zone. It rolled forward into the end zone, bounced in the end zone. Mississippi State grabbed it and stepped over the end zone line out of the rear of the end zone to end the ball game. Thought that was a dramatic way to close out a ball game. And Mississippi State won that one 17-10 in overtime. Those two games really jump out at me as big moments on the Mississippi State side. The other one is the Artie Cosby kick. I mean, that was unbelievable. I think it was 83. We had dominated Ole Miss the entire ball game. I think had rolled up well over 400 yards and held Ole Miss to like 150 in the game. But some things happened. Ole Miss had gotten the lead in the contest, and then Cosby had a game-winning field goal set up. And when he hit it, I knew it was going, and I could tell from Jack's voice that he knew it was going. And then suddenly, a big it was blowing a ton. The wind was really blowing, and it looked like it got an extra hard gust of wind and blew it right out from between the uprights, and it just sort of took a swan dive to the turf outside the goalpost over on the left side. And I think that was the sickest feeling I've had in one of those ball games. That was defeat snatched out of the arms of victory right there. But those would be some moments that I'll remember always about the series.